Hi, just checking in, wanted to make sure everything's all ready to go with our faculty, our moderators, and our recorders. Any questions, concerns?
Hi, it's Andy Reyes. I'm the facilitator.
Mhm.
Good from my point of view, if everyone else is okay.
Awesome.
All right, so
And
we're good to go?
yeah, you guys are good to go. Reef, are you ready to record? Awesome. Enjoy.
Thank you very much. All right, so like I said, I'm going to be the facilitator, and thank you all for joining us today. I'm happy to have our 4 programs that we're going to be talking about today. We have Dr. Stephen Barone from Cohen Children's Medical Center. We have Dr. Jen DePace from Weill Cornell. And there she may also be here as well, Dr. Erica Abramson, also from Weill Cornell. We have Dr. Catherine Klauser from Hackensack University Medical Center, and we have Dr. Alan Meltzer from Goryeb Children's Hospital. So Dr. Stephen Barone, take it away.
Hi, and hello again. So as mentioned, I'm Steve Barone. I'm a pediatric program director at Cohen Children's Medical Center. And as we talked about different types of programs in the region, we would be considered a large children's hospital. So if you're looking for that type of program, this is a program you'd be interested in. We are actually the largest provider of pediatric care in the New York, New Jersey area, both inpatient and outpatient. We are one of the top 50 children's hospitals in the United States. And we're part of the Northwell healthcare system. That's a system of about 25 hospitals throughout the New York, Long Island, Westchester area. And we are the children's hospital for that 25-bed health system. And if you paid attention to the COVID news over the last 6 months, we actually, of course, we were the epicenter. The epicenter actually led the nation in COVID patients, and you might have seen us on a lot of news reports to get a sense of our system. So we are actually in Queens. We're on the Queens national border. We actually sit in Queens, and that allows us, again, to serve the most diverse patient population in the United States based on languages spoken. That's where we draw most of our bread and butter. But we are also a large referral service for most of Long Island and down into Brooklyn and sometimes up into Westchester. In fact, last year we brought patients in from about 74 different hospitals. So a major regional center. Going with the size of our program, we have the largest pediatric faculty in New York. And our pediatric faculty is essentially doubled in the last 5 years, up to about 300 faculty, and that is because of our continued growth. So a large percentage of our faculty are young faculty, being that we just recruited them. We were the first level 1 trauma center in the New York, New Jersey area just for pediatrics. So we have a lot of trauma coming to us. In regards to nursing, we are a Magnet award-winning nurse of pediatrics. There are only 36 pediatric hospitals in the world that have Magnet designation. So that's a tribute to our nursing, not only their clinical skill, but their research skill and teaching skills. Both our program and system have a focus on resident wellness. Our system trains the 3rd most amount of residents in the United States. We train 1,400 residents. So training residents is not a hobby, it's a major mission of our health system. And therefore we dedicate a lot of time, both on a program level and a system level to resident wellness. And there's a lot of resources for that, those endeavors. For our URM residents, we have a mentor program. This is a program designed to not only help train and provide support for underrepresented minorities, but try to encourage them to seek careers in academic medicine to become future leaders. And these are, part of it is monthly meetings with the program supports for both academics and social events, dinners, etc. Hopefully we get back to doing that when COVID simmers down. If you look at some of our curricular highlights, we have 100 residents, both categorical and prelim. We do tend to hire about 30 categorical residents a year and 30 preliminary residents. Although not mentioned, we also take 2 neurology residents a year. Our only training site is the Children's Hospital at Cohen's. When we break down our curriculum, we have 5 clinical pathways. I used to call them tracks, but that gets people nervous thinking they have to stay in this pathway track throughout the rotation. And those include general peds or primary care, a subspecialty track, a global health track, which again is a little bit on hiatus, but we do have standing rotations to India, Kenya, and a national rotation to South Dakota to work on an indigenous people's reservation. Prior to COVID, we sent approximately 35 residents overseas per year. This wasn't a one and done thing. We staffed these hospitals overseas with 2 to 3 residents almost on a monthly basis. And we have a critical track, those interested in NICU, PICU, or ED. We also have a community medicine track called Enhance, where we partner with the medicine program and the family medicine programs of our institution, and they work on together on community medicine projects and scholarly research. And these are for people who want to spend time in the community practices. We have a focus on research. I give you time, I give you resources. Last year, we had 57 residents present at national meetings. Unfortunately, a lot of them were virtual, but that's pretty consistent with the number of projects we do every year. And we offer 17 fellowships. So every fellowship you can think of is named. We have a unique part of our program is as a second and third year resident, you can spend a half day in a subspecialty of your choice every week. So whether it be cardiology, ID, nephrology, you spend a half day in a subspecialty clinic each week, opposite your general peds clinic. So 20% of your time, your second and third years is in an ambulatory arena. Over our class, we probably have about 1/3 of our residents going to primary care and 2/3 going to fellowships. We try to prepare you for fellowships by the second half-day clinic and the research skills. For those in primary care, we have a lot of rotations in general prior to pediatric practices. Northwell has purchased in the area about 40 pediatric practices, so a lot of our residents go there for a month or do their second half-day clinic in a private practice in addition to the faculty practice to really learn primary care, and then a lot of them go on to join those practices. If you see our
thoughts, Dr. Barone.
Okay, there's your contact information there. I think probably one of the best things, if you click out our video, we made a large video based on the fact that these are virtual interviews. Thank you, Andy.
Of course, thank you so much. And I just want to encourage everyone as well as the speakers are presenting to just remember to populate all of your questions in the chat so that we can get to them in the last 15 minutes. Thank you again, Dr. Barone. Next, we will have hear from Dr. Jen DePace from Weill Cornell.
Hi, thanks so much. I'm Jen DePace, and as I can tell from Steve, 6 minutes is not a long time for program directors, for sure. So what can I tell you in 6 minutes? I thought about that, and this session is about you and how to know whether our program is a good fit for you and whether you should check us out. So I'm going to focus on a few things on these slides and then leave room for questions at the end. First, I can reassure you that you will receive an outstanding clinical training at Cornell. We accomplish this through exposure to a diverse patient population at our main campus, which is on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. So the full name of our program is New York Presbyterian Hospital, and there are 2 campuses of New York Presbyterian, Weill Cornell and Columbia. So I'm telling you tonight about the Weill Cornell campus. So the main clinical focus is on that main campus, but we really also are fortunate to partner with other renowned specialty institutions in our neighborhood, including Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, Hospital for Special Surgery, and we have a really special partnership with a community hospital, New York Presbyterian Queens. Steve mentioned Queens in the beginning, and it is one of the most diverse communities in the country. So we feel fortunate that our residents get the chance to be there in multiple settings. What this allows for our residents is a complement of exposure and a depth of exposure to a quaternary academic center, as well as subspecialty institutions and a community-based inpatient and ambulatory center. So beyond that, what else do we have to offer? We really have found that our residents want more than the clinical training, and so we strive to meet that. We want our graduates to be the next leaders in the field of pediatrics. And how do we do that? Well, for those of you headed for academic pediatrics, whether in general peds or the specialties, we really want to prepare you by developing your skills as an educator. So we have a resident as teach program that all of our residents are exposed to, both didactics and experientially, and through mentored scholarly projects, both in research and QI. All of our residents engage in individual mentored research projects during their training and are very successful in having fun during the project, but also growing their mentoring network and having a product that they all present either locally, regionally, or nationally. For those of you going into primary care, we want our residents to be at the forefront of advocacy for their patient and families. So we have a longitudinal community pediatrics and advocacy block in the second year. So there's 2 rotations in your second year, in addition to ample time for primary care in your 3 years. Those experiences expose you to community pediatrics, hands-on advocacy experiences, which actually our residents, some of them who are here tonight, are working with us this year to enhance the advocacy exposure and the amount of hands-on opportunities you have. The other thing I want you to know about our program is that we're a medium-sized program. We have 60 residents. It's on the upper side, the large side of being medium, but we have more of a family feel. What does that mean? Well, it's big enough so that the spotlight is not always on you, and you have an array of people to develop professional and personal relationships with, but it's small enough where everyone will know your name and get to know you as an individual. This allows us to create an individualized curriculum for each of you that is tailored to your learning needs and career goals. So we don't necessarily have tracks in our program. We tailor your junior and senior years really based on your interests. And we use the partnerships that we have with those subspecialty institutions to really pick and choose where you might spend your time depending on what your career goals are. Lastly, depending on how much time I have, and I wanted to let you know that our program is one that wants our residents to be involved in every aspect of the program. We value our residents' voice and we encourage them to use it. We have a Pediatrics House Staff Council, which is a group that provides counsel to program leadership in all areas, including things like resident wellness, recruitment, patient safety, really all aspects of the things that we do. We also have a Pediatrics Minority House Staff Committee that was established in 2017. And the leader of that committee is here tonight, Cynthia. And this committee really was created in an effort to provide a forum for residents and fellows traditionally underrepresented in pediatrics to get together, hang out, have fun, share ideas, and build community. And so I hope that you will hear more about that this evening. The last thing I will share with you is we do have an opportunity for those of you interested in global health. We have a partnership in Mwanza, Tanzania with Weill Bugando Medical Center. So all of our residents have the opportunity to explore that. Currently, as Steve said, with the pandemic, we've been on hold, but anticipate to get back hopefully next academic year. So that's a little bit about us, and I look forward to talking with each of you later.
Thank you so much, Dr. DePace. And again, feel free to write down any questions that may have come to your mind during Dr. DePace's talk. Next, we're going to move on to Dr. Catherine Clauser, who is from Hackensack University Medical Center, my own home institution.
Thank you, Andy. So as you said, I'm Katie Clauser. I'm so happy to be here with you guys tonight. I'm going to kind of lead off a little bit about our Northern New Jersey programs, which we're so excited to kind of be in this region and to be able to highlight what's going on in New Jersey. So I actually, full disclosure, did my residency at Hackensack. So I'm going to kind of tell you the things that attracted me to the program as we continue to kind of highlight the things on this slide here. So one of the joys of the program is our real kind of commitment to community pediatrics and advocacy. So you will see that we have a rotation both in our second and third years. And one of the joys of New Jersey is that we actually have a residency collaborative. So I get to work with Dr. Winters and Dr. Meltzer often on kind of projects among the residency programs. So it's really nice because the residents get to know each other from other programs and get to meet faculty from other programs, which is great for future job prospects if you need it. I can also attest to our research and QI opportunities. So more than 50% of our residents do publish or present abstracts. We've had things in peer-reviewed journals and our local New Jersey Pediatrics magazine, along with kind of national abstracts and local abstracts as well. When I was a resident, I was able to present at conferences paid for by the institution for all 3 years of residency, which I think is a wonderful kind of part of what we're able to do, where if you get to be a first author on an abstract, we actually pay for you to go to the conference, which I am very confident will happen again sometime. The biggest strength from what I see of Hackensack, other than the people, which I will talk about, is our volume and variety of patients. So what you'll find with a suburban, which is what Hackensack is, kind of institution, is that we get a broad range of different populations and patients. So we have the bread and butter, the bronchiolitis, the dehydration, along with the very rare, the things that I read about and didn't know that I was going to see. So we have one of the largest pediatric rheumatology divisions actually on the East Coast. We've got a very large cardiology division, a huge endocrinology division. And so it's a little kind of hidden gem in New Jersey that people don't have to go to New York City as they used to have to do. And we're really able to attract this volume of patients. We're also the only bone marrow transplant unit. We have the only pediatric bone marrow transplant unit in the state. So for your hematology and oncology rotation, you get a great exposure to those patients. We have a huge focus on work-life integration. We've done day and night team scheduling for a very long time, which allows for you to not have to worry about a 24-hour shift. And we also have a group where, along with your class, and Tonya and Andy can pop in here whenever they want to, group wellness day where they get to just take off and go do something together. I think that they this year may be going to the Hamptons, but I'm not 100% sure. And then there's also individual wellness days each quarter where you can do whatever you need to do to make yourself feel well. One of the wonderful things is the great support that we have. I'm friends still with the nurses that I met during residency, and I think Andy and Tonya can both talk about the fact that the nurses really support us along with pharmacy and social work. So we're just excited to kind of highlight everything. We are a smaller program. It is something where you really get to know everybody who's in the program. And if you want to live in New York City, Tonya lives in Brooklyn and is able to commute to Hackensack. So if you want the best of both worlds, ours is a great program for that. And I think that's all. I don't know if Andy.
Thank you so much. Yeah, actually, so our wellness day is tomorrow. We are heading over to like a winery where the hospital is paying for us to go and spend a day together and have other classes kind of cover our shift for that day. And then afterwards, we're doing an escape room, and we can talk more about that later if you guys have any questions. But thank you so much, Dr. Klauser. I'm going to just move on to our very last program here. We have Dr. Alan Meltzer from Goryeb Children's Hospital. Dr. Meltzer.
Okay, evening everybody. And I'm Alan Meltzer, and they saved the best for last. And I was glad I'm going to be able to get my 6 or 7 minutes in here. When I think about the programs, and when I'm in, in the student's shoes, and one of my recommendations always is, as Dr. Brown indicated, location is important. But to me, you're going to work hard no matter where you go. You're going to learn no matter where you go. And the key is you have to feel that you're at home and there's a fit to you and the program. And it's something that you shouldn't really listen to your head in terms of services and things like that. You should listen to your heart, because that will never steer you wrong when it comes to picking programs. Our program is, I thought, medium-sized. I think it's funny, we're 36 residents, and then Jen's program is medium-sized at 60. So we're both sort of, I'm on the smaller side of a medium-sized program. And what I think is really special about our program is truly its location within North Jersey. We are equidistant to Pennsylvania to our west and New York City to our east on a direct train line into Manhattan, which is really very convenient if you like to go into the city. But because of where we're located, our patient population, everybody has a very diverse patient population, and New Jersey, if you don't know, is the most densely populated state in the nation. Similar to the New York region. And as such, our patient population really does range from the urban communities, which are just really due east of us, to the suburban community that the Children's Hospital sits in, to Northwest Jersey, which is incredibly rural. It's cows and horses and farms and really good corn and tomatoes. So when you train at our program, you really get that. Not only, diversity of patients will be looking different from you, they'll be looking different from each other, and both, from their ancestry as well as from their economics. So we have, poor people, middle-class people, wealthy people, and like most of the other programs that are sort of a little bit further away from the city, we're really pretty, isolated in terms of our catchment area. We really chunk off a big chunk of land out here, which is why we do get to see that kind of diversity. Our faculty is pretty large. We have about 100 pediatric faculty here, which is fairly substantial for a community-based children's hospital. It represents all 23, medical as well as surgical subspecialties here. And most people would say a community-based program, what's your research opportunities? And I'd be remiss if saying that we have a huge research program here at Goryeb. Most people wouldn't anticipate that, but our faculty are always publishing. I think though we're not a huge faculty, we still had about 59 publications out of our faculty last year. Our residents, smaller group of residents, but they had 5 publications this past year, and every resident, like other programs, has a scholarly activity that's required. So every one of them has at least a poster that can be presented either locally, regionally, and nationally, like many other programs. Another highlight of our program is I am a general pediatrician. I've come to the realization that a lot of my work as a generalist is now in the behavioral health arena. So this past year and a half, we instituted a real behavioral health program where residents really learn how to do suicide risk assessments, deal with anxiety and depression, because I deal with it on a daily basis in primary care. And I think it's important, if you're going to practice, no matter where you practice, you have to be comfortable dealing with those particular issues. Like a lot of programs, we also have a formalized global health program. Ours is affiliated with an organization called Hands Up for Haiti, and we've been going there for years, but I've had residents make their own global health programs in terms of where they went. So we've had residents, in India and Vietnam and Nigeria and Kenya and Venezuela, indigenous reservations out west. So you can sort of, if you can think it, we pretty much can pull it off at our program. We don't have tracks, we have suggestions. So when you meet with, I see my residency coordinator, Kylie, is online right now, and she will sit down along with the program directors, myself, Dr. Winters, Dr. Perez, to sort of review what are your interests structure your learning plan along those interests, and then provide you guidance as to what we think might be beneficial for your future career. And then sort of everybody has their own sort of learning plan on how they want to approach their learning. We're very actively involved, as Catherine mentioned before, about the New Jersey Advocacy Collaborative, and that's something that we are actively involved in. And you know, Dr. Winters, who I see is also on this phone here with us. He's the person in charge as our associate program director for a lot of our community work, our advocacy work, our social justice work. Also, you know, Dr. Winters is responsible for our hip hop with a dance, hip hop with a doc dance program, as well as our osteopathic manipulation program. We are not a duly accredited program, nor do we have the osteopathic specialty from the ACGME, but we do have an OMN program as well as an OMM fellowship. We do have a fellowship in pediatric emergency medicine that's sponsored through our institution. So I think you sort of, like, everybody thinks, you know, everybody's program really is the best, but I really want to go back to you have to, you know, fit with your program. And at the end of the day, our gold standard is, and has always been, whether or not I let you touch my own 2 children. And I think at the end of the day, whether you're going into primary care or subspecialty care, nobody's ever going to ask you what you got on your boards or your COMLEX, but they are going to say, is that person a good doctor? And I want every one of my graduates to be able to touch my children. If you can touch mine, you can touch theirs. So that's been our gold standard. I think in the last 60 seconds or so, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Winters to maybe talk a little bit more about some of our community work.
Thank you, Dr. Meltzer. Just wanted to make a quick announcement and just say about, for our Hip Hop with a Dog Dance program, we also have our residents that are involved, and we'll start teaching ballet also during, we're very active with Reach Out and Read programs. So we allow our residents to be able to tailor their own community service needs or community service activity around their interests, and be able to teach them in a formal way how to be able to advocate for their patients as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Andy. People told me that this was a BYOB tonight. So I did BYOB. So I didn't know.
Everyone is also welcome to be their OBs.
Okay.
I'll join you, Alan.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Meltzer. So again, these last 10 to 15 minutes are just to go over any questions that anyone had. I see that right now there's no question in the chat, but in the meanwhile, while you guys take a moment to gather your questions, we can ask if any of the moderators who are on for tonight, which we have a few of the resident moderators. I know that Tonya from our institution, Hackensack, is on. If you have any thoughts on, you know, things that you particularly like about your program or things that you think people should know, feel free.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tonya. Thanks, Andy, for the shout out. So I'm from Hackensack. And I think one of the things that attracted me to this program, probably similar to what Dr. Klauser said, is that there is a great diversity in population, patient population and pathology. Our faculty and staff have always been very supportive. Both our program director and associate program director always find, even though they're busy, they find time to sit with us for any little thing that we may have. So I feel like our program is definitely resident driven. We do have various opportunities to reach out to our program directors or to any faculty about any issue that we're having. Anything that we feel like needs improving within the program, they give us a listening ear. And I'm now a second year, and I've seen changes based on the things that we have suggested, which have made my experience there as great as I can, you know, expect for being in residency. When I interviewed initially at Hackensack, I must say from then to now, it's definitely lived up to all the expectations that I had for it and superseded some. So I just wanted to put that out there. And then just follow up to what Dr. Klauser was mentioning as well. I do live in Brooklyn. So I do commute from New York to New Jersey every day, and it has not been much of a strain as people would think it is. So anyone who is in New York and trying to stay in New York, you should definitely consider our program because the commute is definitely full.
Hi, everybody. I'm Crystal. I'm part of the Goryeb Children's Hospital program. Dr. Meltzer and Dr. Winters are my program directors. And I just want to say a big thing about our program as well as all the things Dr. Meltzer had mentioned are the people. I think anywhere you go, you're going to end up working hard. You're going to end up having this intense, intern year along with second and third year, but the people that you're surrounded with and that you're working with a lot are so important. And at Goryeb, we have such a tremendous support system. We have Kylie, our program coordinator, who's amazing. She organizes everything for us. And then, Dr. Winters, Dr. Meltzer, Dr. Perez are all there to support us. And our co-residents are always there for each other as well. So I think it's a big part of looking into a program as well, see the residents and how you fit in there. And definitely Goryeb is really good at having that support.
Hi, I'm Jessica. I'm the other resident from Goryeb Children's Hospital. I'm a third year. Like Crystal and Dr. Meltzer and everyone said, the biggest thing that drew me to Goryeb was actually the community engagement. I was very involved in college and medical schools, so having that sort of outreach into the community and kind of tailor my education around that was very important to me. Also, like Crystal said, like you have such a supportive faculty, such a supportive residency group. And that's kind of what drew me actually to stay as chief for next year.
Hi, I'm Allie. I'm one of the third year PEDS residents at Weill Cornell. My program director is Jen DePace. So I was a med student at Cornell, and one of the main things that drew me to stay here for residency was just like the community family feel of the residents. And I know it's going to be really hard for a lot of you interviewing virtually to kind of get that same feeling, but I want to emphasize that like I can count on my co-residents for anything. They're all such wonderful people, and I really I feel so lucky that I work with them every day, to have them as my colleagues and my friends. And I can say the same thing about all the program leadership and all of the kind of attendings and staff and everyone. Is just such a supportive community. One other thing that I wanted to mention, that wasn't mentioned, that came to my mind when one of the other about psych. We do have a really great psych PEDS buddy system that I recently used. So it's something whenever you see a case, I used it specifically for a patient I had in my clinic that was kind of a more difficult patient to figure out what to do from a psych perspective. We have kind of psych buddies who can guide us and provide resources that are really, really helpful. And it's always someone that you can reach out to. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Guys,
oh,
sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to echo a little bit about what Allie said. I'm Cynthia. I'm one of the third years at Weill Cornell as well. And I can echo that I really love the people at Weill Cornell, and I love working with Allie, so it's great that she feels the same. And one thing that we had listed on our PowerPoint that I really want to strongly emphasize is our simulation program. We have a really robust sim program that starts from the beginning of your intern year and at orientation. So we not only have a state-of-the-art place where you can physically go practice simulation, both case-based and procedural skills. This is something that's embedded within all of the hospitals that we rotate at. So we not only work primarily at Weill Cornell, but we have access to MSK, Memorial Sloan Kettering. We rotate at New York Presbyterian Queens in Flushing, one of the most diverse places in the country. We go to HSS, which is a hospital special surgery, a strong orthopedic hospital
Hospital, and we just opened up a new Women and Children's Hospital this past August. So our sims occur everywhere, and it can be 2 p.m. or it could be 2 a.m. And that really gives you a safe place to just practice on acute presentations or acute decompensations of patients that is, like I said, a safe place for you to get as comfortable with going through the motions. And it's really nice because every now and then you are in our PICU, you're in our emergency department, and you have a sick kid. And what's really beautiful about this is that you've seen it before. You have been through the simulation before. You've been through the motions. You've been through the roles that you need to go through. And I can say that every time, or at least most of the times that I've been presented with a sick real life child, I've practiced it at some point through a simulation. So it's a really, really unique and really great aspect that we have here at Weill Cornell.
Thank you so much. I do see some questions coming in privately to my chat box. So here's a question just about for all the programs in general. I have a general question for all the programs. I am an international medical graduate and was wondering if there are any specific qualities that you look for in an international graduate versus a US MD or DO. I do know that several programs are, quote, more IMG friendly, and some programs generally do not have as many international graduates. So I was wondering what we could do to improve ourselves.
So I think that's a great question. I can say that for Hackensack, we really just look for people who are going to work hard and who are excited to be pediatricians. So I think one of the kind of keys is to just be yourself at the interview. And I know sometimes it feels a little weird on Zoom, but try to let your personality show, try to let us know, you know, what types of things that you've done to kind of set yourself apart, and also just to show that you're a team player. Because I think that we look for people who are going to fit in with our program and who are going to work well with others. We do have international medical graduates, so also something just to keep in mind.
I was just going to make a suggestion. Just, you know, we also have a nice mix of U.S. grads, osteopathic grads, and international grads at our program. And I echo the be yourself, but if English is not your primary language, you know, make sure that you have somebody proofread your personal statement, proofread your, you know, your CV. Just make sure that that kind of stuff is just double checked. I mean, it doesn't rule anybody in or out one way or the other, but you are trying to put your best foot forward. And the best way to do that is to pay attention to those kinds of details. And then when it comes to the interview, absolutely just be yourself. We're not really looking for, you know, transcripts and boards. We're really looking for the person, and the person that we know they're going to work hard, they're going to fit, they're going to be professional, they'll be able to communicate well. Those are the skills that we're sort of really looking for. But that would be my advice.
Just because I see that we're running out of time, and I do see another question here. It says, given the diversity in your area, mostly for the program directors and people representing their programs, do you offer, programs offer medical Spanish classes or interpreter certification to your residents?
I can say at Cohen Children's, we don't offer medical Spanish classes. We do in the past, but although the excitement is great initially, it tends to wane, but we do offer interpreter certification classes, which some of our residents do go through, and I will support and pay for that.
Similarly at Cornell, we have electives in the second and third year, and many of our residents who are interested in, let's say they speak some Spanish, but they really want to immerse themselves or learn the language fluently, will create some goals for themselves about working in an area where really they will only speak Spanish, whether that be locally or internationally, a course, you know, either an online course or some well-known, we won't say any names, but well-known product that they can accomplish learning the language in being fluent. So our residents sometimes do that in their elective time.
We don't have any formal classes, but I can tell you that we have a robust interpreter service, including, so if you don't speak the language and maybe it's not Spanish, we have a whole host of languages. And so we can get interpreters so that you can be culturally competent in caring for the patients, which I think is really important. So that's a great question.
I was going to say, we don't have medical Spanish classes anymore because, as Dr. Barone indicated, they start to fizzle out after a while. But we do utilize the human iPad translating service. I don't know what, I guess it's part of Seracom. And if you're going to come to this part of the country, if you're not familiar with it, there really are over 120 languages spoken in the New York, New Jersey region. So knowing Spanish is great, but knowing Portuguese and knowing Polish and Ukrainian, they're all great. Any language you come with is great. But we do have a very robust, we call them robots, but they're not really robots. They're basically iPads on sticks, but the translation service is through face-to-face human.
And we also at Goryeb Children's have a program in conjunction with the CDC where we teach on health literacy, including where we talk about limited English proficiency and how to be able to deal with those patients in a effective as well as compassionate manner as well.
Thank you all so much. So that does bring us exactly to 9 p.m. You all did amazing with sending the questions and for everyone, including all the moderators who contributed to the conversation, all the program directors, assistant program directors. Thank you all so much. Now we're going to move to the resident-only chat and discussion. And it'll be more of a free Q&A for any other questions that maybe you didn't feel comfortable asking in this forum. So we'll be switching to that in a little bit. Have a great rest of your night, and everyone can, all of the students can stay on for that, which will probably be about a half hour long.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you again.